Let's look at temperature, and the purpose of this video is to work in context involved in temperature. The outcomes of this lesson is to read accurately from thermometers in both degrees centigrade and degrees Fahrenheit. You must be able to explain or understand oven temperature settings. You must be able to convert from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees centigrade or Celsius, and vice versa. Right, before we get to the oven temperature, just for your interest, human temperature is between 37 and 37,4 degrees centigrade. Right, let's just have a look at the oven temperatures. So, on the left here, you will have the temperature dial. And you can see it only goes from 50 to 100 to 150, 200, and 250. And now clearly this is in degrees Celsius, okay, because degrees Fahrenheit, so boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. At Fahrenheit, it is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit is always a whole lot hotter. Well, it appears to be a whole lot hotter. The numbers are much larger. Right, and the modern ovens today, excuse me, the modern ovens today have this dial on the right as well. And you can see this shows you that this is the top grid, this is the bottom grid. So if we're looking for temperature settings, so if you want the element at the top to be on as well as the bottom, you would use that. For example, if you're toasting, hugely expensive to toast in the oven, but if you're toasting, you would use it where the top element is on, and so on. So that is to do with oven temperature. Right, the temperature conversions, you are always going to get questions like this. And the first one is to convert from degrees centigrade or Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. So my little star here stands for degrees. I don't have a shortcut on my iPad to do that, or I don't know of it. Okay, so what happens, we are given that on Tuesday, the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, and we have a cousin or whatever living in America because they use degrees Fahrenheit. What would the temperature be in America? So basically what you're going to do, you are going to substitute. So all I'm going to do, degrees Fahrenheit equals 1,8 times, substitute 25, and I'm going to leave out the units because I'm working towards degrees Fahrenheit. I would suggest in future that you always group these together to know that you have to do that first, plus 32 degrees. Right, so if I multiply out in the bracket, I am going to get 45 degrees plus 32 degrees. So my degrees Fahrenheit is going to be 77 degrees. So when we have a temperature of 25 degrees, they know it as 77 degrees. This one is the more complicated one. So remember what I said to you. Go and make sure you put a bracket here so that you can do the calculation more seamlessly. Right, so I'm going to particularly use an oven temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Right, the first thing I do, I go and put that in Fahrenheit's place. And again, remember these stand for degrees. Right, so I'm going to get 350 degrees Fahrenheit equals 1,8 times degrees C plus 32. Now you'll see why I said keep this in a bracket, because I can't do anything with that. I've first got to deal with the 32. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the 32. I know this is algebra, but just for today, let's visit algebra again. So we're going to go 350 degrees minus, because it's added this side, so on the left-hand side, it's got to be subtracted. 32 degrees equals 1,8 times degree C. So if I subtract these two, I will get 318 degrees equals 1,8 times degree C. And hopefully you do remember. So in algebra, when I had it added that side, I had to subtract on the left-hand side. When I have it multiplied here, I've got to divide on this side. So I'm going to divide by 1,8. I'm going to divide by 1,8, and then I will just have my degree C. Do that on your calculator, and you're going to get 176,66 recurring degrees C. Now, a question that comes up quite often is round to the nearest 10 degrees. So round to 10 degrees. This is my units, this is my 10. So I am rounding to my 10 degrees. So I look at the neighbor, 5 or more, let it soar. So I'm going to add 1 on there. So it is going to be 180, and the rest of the places just get filled up with zeros, but we don't need these zeros, okay? So this oven temperature is 180 degrees C. Okay, this is, so if we go back to the oven temperatures, you will see that those dials, they went from 50 to 100, 150. So this would be virtually impossible to set the oven temperature at. 180, you have to go in between 150 and 200. Please will you do exercise 5 on page 113. So page 113, exercise 5.